Hey guys, welcome to Shortly Explained Movie Review channel. Today I am going to show you the movie, Alpha, released in 2018. I hope you will like the movie, so without any further ado let's get started. The movie begins showing the scene of 20,000 years ago, when people made weapons out of stone and used to survive by hunting wild animals. Then we see a group of primitive peoples. They went out to hunt wild animals, because winter was coming and they needed to stockpile food to save their lives. The name of the leader of this tribal group is Tao. Tao then tells everyone in his group to attack on the wild animals. So everyone in the group started throwing their weapons towards the animals. As a result, the animals changed their route and all the animals started falling one by one from the top of the hill. Seeing this, the king of the wild buffaloes started to attack at the tribal group, and it started coming towards Tao's son Keta, and before Keta could understand anything, the creature tied Keta to its horns and hanging him with its horns started running towards deep ravines. Seeing this, Tao throws his weapon towards the animal to save his son. Finally, the weapon builds up in the body of the animal. The creature then throws Keta into the air, and Keta begins to fall down from the top of the hill. And here the scene goes into flashback. Then we are shown that, a week ago when Tao was preparing for hunting, he tested some young guys for joining into his group, where the young men had to make some weapons, and finally 2 young men were selected, and one of them was Tao's son Keta. The selected 2 were then severely beaten. In fact, it was a test of their patience and endurance. Both of them passed the test. And Tao feels very proud of his son. But at night, Keta's mother started worrying about her son. Then Tao says, "Don't worry, with time and circumstances Keta will gradually learn everything." The next morning Keta takes leave from his mother and started for hunting. After walking for a while, they reached at the monument made by their ancestors, and it means they are on the right path. Then at some distance away they saw another group coming, and they also came here for hunting, and the leader of this group was actually a friend of Tao. Then the groups reunited and went out for hunting again. Then for dinner the 2 groups unitedly hunted a pig. After that Tao tells Keta to kill the pig. Actually he is trying to check his son's courage, but Keta shows compassion to the animal out of emotion and cannot kill the animal. Seeing this, Tao gets very angry and says, "Look, only he survives at the end who is really strong." After saying this, he killed the animal himself. Then at night, as they were eating, they heard some noise around them in the woods. Hearing this, Tao tells everyone in his group to calm down. Then everyone in the group begins to feel the existence of an animal around them, and they all became alert. But seeing no movement for some time, they calmed down a bit and sat down. Then suddenly a lion came out of the jungle and picked up one of the boys and killed him. Keta became very scared after seeing this. But Tao tells Keta not to lose courage and tells him to keep patience. In the next day, they all thought that the boy was dead. So after showing respects to him they all went out for hunting again. In the meantime they again crossed the monuments built by their ancestors and continued to move forward. Then they spent the night inside a cave. Here Tao teaches her son how to determine direction using the stars, so that he can determine the direction alone in difficult situations. In the meantime they hear the sound of some foxes and noticed a group of foxes. Then Tao tells his son that the fox you're seeing now is actually the leader of this fox group, and he is called Alpha, and his life is always in danger, because if anyone else in the group knows his weakness, they indeed will try to kill Alpha and will take the position of Alpha. So the identity of an Alpha is his morale and courage, and with this courage and willpower he can lead the team. Then in the next morning they saw the footprints of some animals, and following the footprints they finally reached to the animals. And here we see the starting scene repeats once again, where Keta is falling down from the top of the hill. As soon as Keta falls down, Tao and the rest of his group runs towards him. When they looked down they saw Keta hanging with a rock. Tao and the rest of the team tells him to be patient. But then Keta's hand slips off from the rock and he falls on a flat rock below and faints. Seeing this, Tao wants to get down and try to save Keta. But the rest of the team stops him from doing so, because to do so means rushing towards death. Then one of the team members tells him that, He is the leader of the team and his job is to get the rest of the team back safely. Tao becomes helpless to the rest of the team and to the situation. Then he stays up all night shouting down the hill in the hope that his son Keta will answer from below, but he doesn't answer. Then in the next morning, thinking that Keta was dead, they all showed their respects to him and returned to their destination. Then we see that, next morning, some vultures come to eat Keta. But suddenly Keta regains consciousness. Then he grabs the vulture and throws it down from the top of the hill. He keeps calling everyone in the group, but there is no response of any of them. He understood that rest of the team has gone. Then he tries to climb down the hill by himself, as there is no other choice, but his hand slips, because the hill is completely steep, but he does not give up hope and stays hanging. After a while it started to rain heavily and the hole below was filled with water. Seeing that Keta jumped down and started floating away. In the next morning when he woke up he drank the dirty rainwater to quench his thirst. He then straightened his injured leg placing it between two rocks, as his leg was broken by falling from the top of the hill. Then he tied a stick to his leg and proceeded forward and slowly reached at the top of the hill. There he sees the death monument made for him by the people of his group. He totally broke after seeing it. Then in a fit of rage he throws the stones down and started shouting loudly. Hearing his screams, a group of foxes approached him to attack. Then Keta climbed on a tree and spent the night on the tree to escape from the foxes. The next morning, while filling water, the foxes again came to attack Keta, so he started running from the foxes and again climbed on the tree. However, while climbing on the tree, a fox suddenly bites on his leg and started pulling him down. Then Keta hits the fox with a spear to save himself. As a result the fox gets injured and Keta climbed on the tree again. Then the day turned into night, but the foxes remained waiting for Keta. In the next morning the rest of the foxes went away leaving the wounded fox alone. And the injured fox remained squirming in pain. Then Keta makes a spear with a stick and decided to kill the wounded fox for relieving it from the unbearable pain. But then suddenly the fox and Keta both meet each other's eyes and Keta feels pity for the injured fox so he doesn't kill the fox. Then he ties its mouth with a rope and takes the fox with him. After walking for a while, they reached at a cave. Then two of them spent the night in the cave. The next morning, when Keta wakes up he observes the cave closely, and the cave seems familiar to him. It's because when he started for hunting, he stayed in this cave with his father previously. Anyway, after that Keta makes a medicine for his wounded leg using some wild plants and puts it on his leg. Then while drinking water, he notices the fox sitting in front of him. He sees that the fox has untied the rope from his mouth to drink water. Keta became frightened. But eventually he let the fox to drink some water in a pot. Thus gradually the two begin to become friends. Then he also applied the medicine on the fox's wound. After that we see Keta hunts a rabbit to satisfy his hunger, but when the fox sees Keta eating the meat of the rabbit, the fox became greedy, but to obtain dominance over the fox, Keta eats himself first and then lets the fox also. In this way, the two became friends. The next morning, Keta sets out for home with a new hope, and here he tries to chase the fox away so that the fox can return to its group. But the fox is not leaving Keta behind at all. Then in a scene it is shown that Keta throws his stick towards the fox but the fox takes it back to Keta in its mouth like a pet dog. After some distance, they saw a herd of wild pigs. Seeing this, the fox using his strategy started to chase the pigs towards Keta. But Keta got scared and he missed his target. As a result they cannot turn the pigs into prey, and they had to sleep without eating that night. In the next morning, the fox started to train Keta for hunting, so that they can hunt very easily. Thus gradually their friendship deepens. At night the fox falls asleep next to Keta, and in the morning wakes up Keta very romantically. Then the two of them took bath together. After the bath the fox shows Keta catching a fish. Keta felt very happy to see it. The two then sets out again for their intended purpose. Here Keta named the fox Alpha. Then the season started changing gradually and winter season came. Then one day the two of them hunted a wild boar together, and this time Keta accurately turned the pig into a prey. Then at night while they were eating the roasted pork, another fox came there. Keta picks up the spear in his hand in fear, but he soon realizes that it is actually a member of Alpha's group that has came here to take Alpha with him. Alpha then looks back to Keta with hope in his eyes, as if he is asking permission to leave. Keta then gives him permission to leave and Alpha leaves. The next morning Keta left for his destination during the snowstorm was running, and after going some distance, he suddenly saw a group of foxes in front of him, and he was very happy to see that his friend Alpha was in the group. He started running towards Alpha. In the meantime, the ice breaks with the blow of his foot, and he falls into the water under the ice. Seeing this, Alpha runs to save Keta and tries to break the ice by hitting it with his foot, but he could not break the ice in any way. Keta then broke the ice with a knife in his hand. Alpha then pulls Keta up. After that, Keta takes off all his clothes to escape from the cold, and lies down by the side of fire with Alpha. The next morning they set out again for their purpose. After some distance they saw a man. Keta felt very happy to see him. He ran to the man. But when he got closer, he saw that the man was already frozen to death. Then he takes his used arrow and bow, and started to proceed again. After a while suddenly some hyenas attacked at them, and as soon as the snowstorm also started. In the meantime, Keta and Alpha took shelter in a cave. Inside the cave Alpha realizes the presence of an unknown enemy. Suddenly a lion inside the cave started to attack at Keta. But to save Keta, Alpha fights with the lion without caring for his life. Then Keta kills the lion with an arrow by using a bow. But Alpha himself gets injured while fighting with the lion. Seeing Alpha so devoted to himself, Keta promises to keep Alpha with him for lifetime. The next morning they started their journey again. After some distance Keta sees a monument made by his ancestors, which means that Keta has reached very close to his house. Then we see them again moving forward through a thick snowstorm. Thus moving a little farther Alpha's condition worsened and he fell to the ground. Seeing Alpha in this state, Keta picks up Alpha in his lap and continues moving. However, due to hunger and thirst, Keta also became very weak, and laid down in the ice in an almost unconscious state. But suddenly his parents' face appeared in his eyes. He got motivated after seeing it and started moving with courage. After walking for a while his troubles became successful, because he had reached very close to his home. Then when he arrives at home, his father felt very happy to see Keta alive. Keta then asks his father, "Have I proved my courage and endurance or not?" When Tao hears this, he starts to cry and hugs him deeply. Then they all started the treatment of Keta and Alpha. Then they find out that Alpha is a female species that gives birth to babies. Keta became completely shocked to hear this, because he had been thinking of Alpha as male for so long. Then we see, Alpha gave birth to some babies. Seeing this, Keta's respect for Alpha increased even more. Then Alpha and her new generation continues to grow up with the humans together. Then we see a new leader of this tribal group who is becoming ready to take the responsibility of this group later on. And with this, the movie ends here. Hope you all liked the movie review. Subscribe to our channel to get more amazing movie reviews like this. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to be the first to get the notification of the next video. Thanks for watching.